Hello, everyone. It's the Psalmist here. Today, I just want to speak to you about why Christian divorce is violent and uncalled for. And what do I mean by that? Well, the Christian's understanding of marriage must be biblical, and the Christian's root of what a marriage is must be biblical. And then, according to the Bible, the Christian marriage is the manifestation of Jesus Christ's love for the church, and the church being the bride of Christ. It means that we know. I mean, every Christian knows how many times they have sinned and how many times they have done so many wrong things against the law. And sometimes maybe we think that, because in a marriage situation, it's more like a person is a person and I am a person. So if they hurt me, I don't have the same, probably, the same character as Christ. But what does it mean to be Christian? Does it not mean that you have the same character as Christ? It is one thing when atheists and non-believers, divorce and throw their hands in the air because they cannot handle marriage. But it's another thing when a Christian does it. It's a different thing altogether, because a Christian must have a different understanding of what marriage is. And because a Christian is in a marriage before they even marry a wife or a husband, they must at least have an idea that them being the children of God, them being Christians, they have sinned against the husband of the church, who is Christ. They have been idolatrous against Christ. They have, committed adultery against Christ. But yet they go before the throne of God in weeping, in tears, with heartbrokenness, and asking for forgiveness, and looking and expecting that Christ, who is the husband, would not divorce them, would keep them in the marriage. And Christ, being Christ, always does that. I'm saying that being a Christian with understanding that this is what has happened to me. This is what I have, I have sinned in my life many times since I became Christian. In fact, maybe I probably say that I've sinned more times after I became a Christian than before I was a Christian. Just the thing about being a Christian is that after you are born again, you realize that you're more of a sinner than you thought. And then there's so much sin in your heart that has been revealed by God about you that you never thought that you were that sinful. So, but we always go back to Christ and we want to be forgiven and we expect it. I mean, the thing about a Christian is that when we go to God asking for forgiveness, asking for grace, we expect it. Why do we expect it? It's grace. Grace is not to be expected. Grace is supposed to be like a shock. Oh, did God really give Jesus Christ for us, sinners, not destroy us and send us to hell? It should be a shock. It should be a shock that God says, come and buy without money. Come and get milk and wine. Even when you don't have money, so that you could be a children of God. It should be sharp. But the thing is that when a person gets something for free for a long time or for a consistent period of time, they start to expect it. They don't longer think that is grace. They start to expect this. When we sin against God and we go to God, we expect it. Of course, God is forgiveness, but you can't keep sinning against God expecting that He's just going to forgive you. That will be abusing His grace. That will be abusing His love and His mercy. You see, you wouldn't do the same thing if somebody keeps sinning against you and coming back and saying sorry, sinning against you, coming back and saying sorry. So when it comes to Christians divorcing, it's like they're showing that they do not understand what spirit they are. I mean, a Christian man and a Christian woman divorcing over anything, is them literally declaring that they don't understand what spirit they are. It does not matter whether it's cheating or whatever. It shouldn't matter. What should matter is that what is the cause of that cheating if cheating is involved. That's what a Christian man should do. That's what a Christian woman should do. I mean, obviously, at the beginning of marriage, the reason why people get married is because they were in love, because they loved one another. That is what led to the marriage. And then, if what led to the marriage was love and joy and happiness, which they found in one another, what then would lead to them forgetting what they used to have, to a point that they are, angry against one another? They don't want to speak to one another because one of them sinned, and the other who is sinned against does not want to forgive, does not even want to try to work things out, or try to get a third person involved, try to get a pastor involved, or an elder of the church involved, or the parents involved. You just want to cut it off because, I mean, think about it. The Bible says that marriage is the manifestation of Jesus' life for the church. Jesus being the head and the church being the body. So in the case of a man and a woman, it means that the man is the head and the woman is the body. So when you're a Christian, your divorce is like you're taking a sword and you're cutting the head off. So if you're the woman wanting a divorce, you're cutting your own head off. And if you're a man wanting a divorce, you're cutting your own body off. What that means is that this is violence. That's why the Bible says that divorce fills a man with violence. That's what it means when it says that it fills a man with violence. Because it is violence. It's the tearing off of the head of a body. Is the decapitation of a body. That's what a divorce is. You see, so when people divorce, it's either they did not understand in the beginning when they married, or they don't understand even now what marriage is. Because it means that at the beginning, maybe when they married, it was not really love. They did not understand that when they entered into the marriage union, what was supposed to happen? What was supposed to happen is that the man, according to the commandments of the Bible, is supposed to do everything in his power to make the woman happy and to treat her like his equal. This thing that men are above women, this is not true. It's not biblical. When the Bible says that the man must treat his wife like his own skin, it means that the man must treat his wife like his equal. That means the man, the husband, is equal to the wife. That is biblical teaching. Because when God does not say that you are equal to the man, you are equal to the woman. God does not say that the woman is equal to the man. But in the way that he arranges and organizes the marriage, that the man is the head. Of course, the man is the head and is the leader, and the woman is the householder. He's the one who's gonna manage the home and raise the kids in accordance with the will of God, in accordance with the commandments of God. In this family, the role of a man is just as important as the role of a woman. If a woman was to pull herself away, the man will not be able to make all these things happen correctly according to the will of God in their house. By himself, it's impossible. He can't do it. He needs a woman. The same thing as a woman cannot manage a household by herself. She needs a man. Do you think that God created marriage so that these people can believe that they can be independent? The reason why God has had to take from Adam's body, Adam's bone, Adam's soul to create Eve was to make sure that these people will always be in need of one another. They must be unable to live without each other, so that they could always want to be together. This is why the animals were created differently. The animals were separately created as male and female. But God, when he created Eve, he did a new thing. He created Eve from Adam. Adam says that she would be called a woman because she was made out of a man. He's literally saying that Eve came out of him. You see, so then how can a man then divorce his own hand? It will be like cutting it off. And that is violence. You can't cut your own head off. But I guess divorce in general, whether it's divorce in Christianity or divorce in non-believers, is comes from a lack of understanding of what marriage is. People get married out of feeling and out of maybe the enjoyment of sexual intercourse, and then they just want to get married over the sex. Or maybe they get married out of a man looking to reproduce himself and have offspring so he could leave a legacy. So he's looking at a woman as a production machine, to just print out his images so that when he died, part of himself remains. Because that's why some men get married, just to, elongate their lineage. And some women may marry because of money, because the man is rich, so they want the lifestyle that the man can offer. But all that become useless after the marriage is done. Because after the marriage is done, the woman wants attention from the man, and the man wants respect from the woman. If the man does not give attention in terms of love, in terms of service towards the wife now cannot respect and submit, because there's nothing to submit and respect to. Do you see that? And when that happens, the marriage becomes cold. And when the marriage becomes cold, it's more like when you're in a restaurant and you're with somebody and then you're having lunch or supper or whatever. And then it's the same meal. It's the same meal. You bought the same meal. But when you taste your meal, it doesn't taste that good. Maybe it's the tongue, maybe you just brushed your teeth, and then the toothpaste has, changed the palates. They're no longer able to process the actual taste of the food. So the food is sort of dull. But when you look at your friend or your wife, they're enjoying their food. And it's like you're shocked, but this is the same meal. Why is he enjoying it and I'm not enjoying it? The next thing that you're going to want to do would be like, you want to taste their food, even though it's the same meal. I mean, if it's McDonald's, it's a Big Mac. It's made the same way. It is meant to be made the same way anyway. So that's where cheating comes from. So because when a person's not happy in their marriage, they start to look outside for happiness, and then they cheat. And then the person who gets cheated on find out that their spouse is cheated, then they want a divorce. But they don't try to find out what would make a husband or a wife cheat. I mean, at one time, these people were happy. That's why they decided to get married in the first place. So at one time, they were happy, and then suddenly they are not happy anymore, and then they don't want to continue in their commitment. So they go outside, try to find joy and pleasure. And of course, if a spouse finds joy and pleasure from another person, not their spouse, the one who gets cheated on becomes aggrieved and becomes hurt. And out of anger, they make a decision of leaving. This is not to say that, a person is correct when they cheat. What I'm trying to say is that if you're a Christian, you have sinned against the Lord many, countless times, because saints, like I like to say, saints are just great sinners in the hands of a merciful God. So shouldn't that be the same with a spouse, with a wife? If I was married, shouldn't my wife be a great sinner in the hands of a merciful Christian who is filled with the Spirit of the Lord? And when I'm saying that, some people may say, yeah, people must fight for marriage. You shouldn't fight for marriage. Why would you have to fight for something which is good? You don't fight in a marriage, or you don't fight to keep a marriage, or you don't fight to save a marriage. You just do what you're supposed to do, and pray and hope that the person who's on the receiving end of your deeds, of your expression of love, responds appropriately. Because when we look at how Christ married himself to the church, he gave himself to a church which was, no, it was not even a church to begin with. He gave himself to people who were not believers, who were sinners. and gave himself as a gesture of love so he can build a church with them. So when you marry a person, you're giving yourself to a person who may not be perfect, who may not be good. But because you have love, all you can give is love. Christ is love. All he can give is love. You can't give what you don't have. You see, an orange tree can only give you oranges because that's what it is. It cannot give you bananas. So when you're a good person, you have love in your heart. All you can give is love. This is not to say that you cannot be hurt when somebody cheats on you or when somebody sins against you. You will get hurt. God is grieved when we sin against him. But he is love. You see? So that's why he gave Christ. But true love must be coupled with just to perfect it. Because if love is not justice, or if love is not just, it spoils the beloved. Because whatever wrong that the beloved can do, there cannot be any recompense. There cannot be any payment for their sin. That means that if you love a person and they do wrong to you, they sin against you, if you're a husband and your wife cheats on you, you must make them know that it hurt you and you were hurt. But because you are loving and you love them, you're willing to make them happy so that they don't have to cheat anymore. The same way as God was willing to change the hearts of men so that they don't have to live in sin anymore. I will put my spirit in you so that you could do my commands. You see? So you were wicked because your heart is wicked. But I'm going to change you so that you could do what I want you to do. And this will lead you to joy. So if a woman is not happy in the marriage and then she cheats, then the husband decides that since you have cheated because you are not happy, because it will be impossible for anyone who's happy in a marriage or at work to even think about looking at another guy or looking for what other companies can offer. Have you realized that? Cheating is not an action, it's a reaction of what was actually going on in the marriage. And then you have a cause which is in the marriage which caused cheating, and the other person reacts. The other person reacted by cheating, and the other person who's cheated on find out that they were cheated on, and they also react by looking for a divorce. But the cause is still there, so it doesn't solve anything. You see, so but these are very difficult things. These are very difficult things to do and to understand, because when you get hurt, you grieve. And people around you may even tell you that you must just leave this person. They can't do this to you. But the cause, whatever the cause, which caused the cheating, because cheating, like I said, is a reaction from what is really going on in the marriage. Whatever the cause will still be there. So even if you divorce them and marry another person, there's a possibility that history could repeat itself because you don't know the cause. So you're just carrying it on your back like a baggage, like a chip on your shoulder, and you carry it around. And then whoever you're gonna move to, they're gonna do the same thing because that's your problem. Because you never got to solve them. This is not to say that the person who gets cheated on is guilty or is wrong. No, he's a victim or she is a victim. But you can't solve the problem of infidelity in marriage by just walking out of it. That's why there's so many divorces going on. That's why a person can divorce, marry again, and divorce again, and marry again and divorce again. Because they have no understanding of, first of all, what is marriage, and second of all, what is their role in a marriage. Look at how we do things. Children are taken to school from the time that they're 3 or 4 years old. Why? Because you're preparing them to make a living. But who has been prepared to be a husband, to be a father, to be a provider? Who has been prepared to be a householder, to be a mother, to be a wife? Almost none. But yet we expect marriage to work. but there's no preparation. But industry works, economy works because you get prepared to be part of the economy, to be a partaker in the economy, to be a partaker in the success of an economy from the school system, from the day that you start speaking and uttering words. But you don't get prepared to do the most important thing, which is to raise a family. Because the family is the most important institution in any society, in any country, in any nation. Do you see that? But we don't get prepared for that. So when we try to do it, because we don't know it, but because there's sexual attraction between men and women, they end up having sex, they enjoy the sex. And they think they can marry over it, they get married. But when they realize that it's more than about the sex, there's other things. And they can't do these other things. And they can't handle even the things which happen, which are supposed to hurt them and make them happy. They don't know how to handle them. So the best reaction is just to cut your own head off or cut your own body off, which is violent. And for a Christian to do just shows a lack of understanding. I mean, when we think about Christ, when we think about the love of Christ, we realize that if you're Christian, if you're born again, you would know that every time you have done something wrong, that you've sinned against the Lord. That's when you go to the Bible and read it, you see that this Christ, this God reveals more of himself, reveals more of his love greatly after you have sinned than when you have not sinned. This is why Christ died for would-be believers, for would-be the church, when they were still in their sin. So that was the ultimate expression of the love of God, to die for people who were not even recognizing that there is a God. So he did the extreme expression of his love, the glory of his love at the time when people were not believing. But when it comes to the marriage of a man and a woman, when a woman feels like she has gained weight and she feels unattractive, instead of the man now pouring himself on her to make sure that she feels that she, even whatever is happening, whatever she's going through, she's still loved and needed and cherished, so that she could be happy and not have anxieties about the relationship. What the man does is that he pulls himself away, confirming that indeed she has gained weight, she's no longer attractive. Then the woman becomes anxious. When a man is going through problems, maybe business is not going according to plan, work is not good, and he feels like, no longer like a man, because he thinks that he may not be able to perform his role in the household in terms of providing for his wife. Instead of the wife reassuring him that you are the husband, you are the man, and I'm going to follow you and submit to you and respect you, she starts to talk about how other men are making it, how other men are buying nice cars, making the man feel anxious because he's going to feel inappropriate if other men are able to do the things that he cannot. That's the lack of understanding of what marriage is. And without understanding, you cannot do anything. It is understanding that enables any person to be able to do what they're supposed to do. It is understanding from a man of understanding of what a husband is, of what a provider is, of how a husband must treat his wife in terms of the commandments of the Lord, in terms of how the husband must react when the wife feels anxious or insecure about herself, which what he's supposed to do is to love her even more, to manifest even more love, so that the love can give the woman confidence that you're not going anywhere, no matter what happens. But because men don't understand that, they get it wrong. And when they get it wrong, it leads to a lot of heartbreak, heartache, destroyed families, broken families, and children get raised from these families. And then they grow up to be men. And then when they are men, we expect them to do something different, do something good, to be good man. But they don't know how to be that which we expect them to be, because we have never taught them, because we ourselves have never been taught. But when a man reads scripture, he realized that the one who instituted marriage is the teacher. So, which means without the Bible, the nations are lost. The nations are lost because how do they learn about marriage? They learn about marriage through their parents, through their father and their mothers. But what if their father and their mothers have no understanding of what marriage is? How then will they learn? That means they are lost. That means the nations are lost. That means non-believers are lost, because they can't understand the very things that they want to do, the very things that they want to have joy in. And because they don't understand, they do it wrong. And when they do it wrong, they hate themselves and they hate each other. That's why you have this thing between men and women. They can't get along. They can't work together. You have feminism and female and women's rights, because they have men going their own way, because none of them understand what they're supposed to do. So because they hate one another, they've become each other's enemies. And unless there could be reformation through knowledge and teaching about what marriage is, about what a man is and what the role of a man is in a marriage, and about what a woman is and about the role of a woman, the role of a wife in a marriage, and about what a child should be treated and raised like, so that they could also grow to be that which we expect them to be. So yeah, that's all that I have to say about why Christian divorce is violent and uncalled for. This, of course, is caused by a lack of understanding. And if you have anything that you have to say, a comment that you would like to leave, you can leave your comment below. And if you like content like this, you can subscribe to my channel so that you can receive content like this. Thank you for listening.